Hey guys, um, my name is Leanna Jordan, and I'm literally just here to tell you a testimony. Um, so yeah, it's story time, and I felt led to share this testimony with you guys specifically. I'm gonna just say like this was the first time that God ever like came through for me in such a powerful way when I wasn't even serving Him. So it just shows how good God is. But yeah, I'm gonna get started. So, anyways, this was about maybe I want to say 7 years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But anyways, I was in a relationship, an abusive relationship, and God delivered me. And I'm gonna just begin with like how we got there. This was at a time I think I was like 20 or something, maybe 19 or 18. I don't remember. But no, I was like 20 for sure. But anyways, I had an apartment at the time and I had two roommates. And I remember at this time I was working at Amazon and I was like, I was making some good money because Amazon, they give you some pretty good money. And especially when you do overtime and stuff like that. So I was working at Amazon. I had my own apartment at the time. And I remember I was like looking for somebody to date because at the time, um, I was very kind of like always in a relationship, if that makes any sense. Like I was always in a relationship at this time in my life. So, yeah, I was on a dating site. I was looking for somebody, and I remember I'm not going to tell you guys the name of the dating site, but um, yeah, I was on a dating site and I was looking for, somebody to hang out with, somebody to um be my boyfriend and stuff like that. But anyways, I remember I met this dude and he seemed really, really nice. And he was like, so willing to like, he just seemed so into me. Like he was willing to help me and he seemed into me, like Leanna, instead of like who I portrayed myself to be. And so that was really, really refreshing. And then I remember we met up and we hung out and I really liked him. And then we ended up hanging out more and more over time, so much so to the point that he eventually ended up moving in. And what, like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember exactly how he moved in. Like, I don't remember if it was just like a conversation type of thing where we were just like, hey, you should move in, or if it was a situation where like he kept leaving his stuff and then eventually like he just stayed forever. I don't know. But long story short, like we moved in together. He moved into my apartment and I remember I was still working at Amazon and I had a conversation with him at one point in time. Like it was still going like wonderful. Like our relationship was still going wonderful. We would like go out and do cute things um and he was like always looking for my best interest. You know what I mean? Like he was always looking out for me. So I think that that was like something that was really cool. And at the time, like I said, at the time, this time it was really good. But then I remember there came a point in time where he was like, well, I was saying, like, I don't want to be in Amazon forever. Like, I know that I want to further my education and do something better with my life. And he was like, what do you think that you want to do? And I was like, I think I want to be in the medical field. That was something that I was always really interested in was anatomy and just like how the body works and things like that. So I wanted to go into medical assisting. That was actually I was in medical assisting before in the previous relationship that I was in. I was doing medical assisting class, but I didn't finish because we broke up. And long story short, I didn't finish that. Um, I didn't finish that class specifically because a relocation and all of that extra stuff. Like there was just a lot going on in my life at the time. But then this time I was like, I think I want to go back to medical assisting and finish and get my certification. And he was like, okay, that sounds really good. So how about you go? And he's like, I know of this thing. I'm not going to tell you the name of the program, but he was like, I know of this program and you can go and get your vocational, you can go and get your certificate for free. And it's really nice and all of this stuff. And he was speaking really highly of this place. And I was like, okay, so I'll go. And so he was like, I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna pay the bills. And I was like, all right, cool. So I didn't have to pay no bills no more. I just had to go to school and that's it. And then I remember going to school. And when I went to school, like he was always a little bit um controlling in a way. But when I went to school, bro, it got so much worse. It got so much worse. Like I remember him accusing me of just cheating all the time. I remember just like it was just so, and he wasn't abusive physically, but he was definitely abusive emotionally. He was definitely abusive psychologically. He was definitely abusive um mentally and verbally. And like he would say really, really harsh things to me when this was when I went away to school. Since I lived like the next state, I would this place was in New York, and I was living in New Jersey, but I was living like right across the bridge at the time. And I remember I would go home on the weekends, and I still had to live there on the weekdays. And they wouldn't give me transportation to go home every single day because they were saying that it's too far since it's in a different state. We're not going to do that for you. I was like, all right, fine. All right, fine. So yeah, I remember now I had to stay there um during the week. And so I was living there during the week and I would come home on the weekends and like holidays and things like that. And yeah, like I said, at that time, that's when he got really, really controlling and really, really like nasty with his mouth and stuff like that. Like he would say really mean things to me. I'm not gonna get into it. But I remember at one point in time, I remember I was like literally crying in my room all the time. And like I had friends there and they would be like, "Hey girl, like let's go out at this time." This was before I knew the Lord, so like I was like drinking and smoking and all of that stuff. And they were like, "Hey girl, let's go out and have a good time." And I would be so scared to even go out and leave my dorm room and even leave the campus because he was so controlling. And I'm like, what if he calls me? I'm laughing, but this wasn't at all funny at the time. But I was like, what if he calls me? Like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Like I was scared. And I did end up going out a few times, but I still had to hide it from him. Like I couldn't tell him where I was. I had to like dismiss his phone calls at the time and like tell him I was doing something else. And honestly, like that wasn't even in my character. Like I don't normally lie. I don't do that. I just tell you the truth and keep it going. Like if you don't like the truth, then whatever. But so that was like I was noticing too at the time, just like certain things in me were changing. And this is how I began to know that he was abusive. I remember at one point in time, like I said, I was like going home crying every time, going back to my room crying all the time. I just wasn't happy. And I remember I was like, you know what, maybe this was the point. I said maybe if I just go home, then he'll be okay and he'll know that I'm like not this type of woman that he keeps making me out to be, that he'll know that I'm not lying, that I'm not cheating, that I'm not doing all of these things. And maybe if I go back, I can prove myself to him. And so that's what I did. I left the campus. I just didn't finish medical assisting. And I was like, you know what? I want to go to medical assisting home. I was like, I will just do the financial aid or like pay for it in whatever ways that I can pay for it. But long story short, I'm gonna finish this. Like this was the third time that I was doing medical assistant. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna finish this. So when I went back and he was still like working and paying the bills and I still wasn't able to work and pay the bills because I was going to school. But at least this school was it was in New Jersey. It was closer and I didn't have to sleep over. Like I was commuting back and forth every day. And so that to me, it seemed like a better idea because I'm like, okay, now he knows that I'm not cheating and stuff like that, but he still found reasons to accuse me and he was gaslighting me at the time too, like, and if you don't know what gaslighting is, just look it up and like look up examples of it and stuff like that. But because I don't have that much time to explain it, but I do remember the point where I realized he was abusive, because this type of abuse, guys, is not something that you can like really notice. But what I noticed was I was changing. Now I had to lie to make sure that I wouldn't get in trouble with him now, like to get into an argument or whatever. Like I had to lie in order to do these things. I remember I started to become like somebody I wasn't. I started to become like him, like a really jealous person. I started to become like envious and like hateful. And I started to like smoke a lot more. I started to, and this is how I knew, like, eventually how I knew that it was gaslighting, because I started to like literally lose my mind. I thought that I was going crazy. So I went to a psychologist at the time, and they gave me medication. And obviously, being in the state that I was, and being having the addictive personality that I did have before the Lord freed me, I was abusing the medication that they did give me. And so, like, I had to ask them to increase my dose. And but I was doing that because it was painful to live at home. And I remember, like I said, noticing that things inside me changed. Like a lot of things inside me changed. I wasn't the same person that I was before, and I couldn't even recognize myself in the mirror anymore. I remember, like, the things that he was saying to me, like the ways that he was treating me. It ended up it ended up manifesting in my body. I remember like having digestive problems. I remember having problems with like going to the bathroom. And there was even times, I'm going to be very vulnerable here at this point, but there was even times that I was peeing on myself because I was so nervous to go back home. I didn't know what was going to happen. And like sometimes like it would just come out, and I just didn't really know how to control it. So that was really scary for me, if I'm being quite honest. Like, it was really scary for me. I didn't know whether he was going to be in a good mood or a bad mood. I didn't know whether he was going to accuse me of something again. And I'm not the type of person that likes to argue with people. I'm not the type of person that likes to lie and likes to yell and curse and all of that stuff. And that's just what he was always trying to provoke me to do, is be somebody I wasn't. And so that's how I realized eventually that it was an abusive relationship. I started realizing my self-esteem was going down, my confidence was going down, everything that I knew. I started realizing that I wasn't myself pretty much. And I remember this one point in time, I just felt like I want to escape. And I would talk to my teacher about it. I had a really nice teacher at the time, um, in the medical assisting class. And she was very like, hey, you guys can talk to me about anything. And I remember like I would stay after a little later so I can talk to her. And she actually helped me a lot. She was like, I want you to write out an exit plan, like write out a plan to leave. And so that's what I did. But I still couldn't see myself leaving anytime soon. And I didn't want to deal with that anymore. Like, I'm peeing on myself. I don't know who I am anymore. I'm scared every time I go back home. Like, this was terrifying to me. I needed to get out immediately. This, like, I was like, okay, so I'm like writing this plan out to save up money and to get my own apartment. And like, that was my apartment, but just like, you know what I mean? Like, to move out and get another apartment. And, y'all, it was impossible, literally impossible for me to leave, because I didn't have any money to pay the bills. I was in school, so I had to finish school and then end up working, you know what I mean, for a certain amount of time in order to be able to leave. So it was not going to work out. So I did write out the plan that she said, and I remember at the time, like, just like, now thinking about it, I didn't realize it as this, but I was listening to like the type of music that was just like breakup music. I was like writing in my diary all the time about the things that he did, because I needed to remember these things, because gaslighting is a very serious psychological abuse. So you like, I forgot a lot of the things that he did, And a lot of the things that he said, I forgot even the things that I said. I was really thinking that I was losing my mind. Um, but, anyways, all of that to show you guys how impossible this situation was to get out of. But I remember I wasn't serving the Lord, I wasn't walking with the Lord, but I did grow up in church, and that um I knew, like, there's a God. Like, I know that there's a God, and you know, he's good, and like, he wants to help me in ways. Like, that's as much as I knew about God at the time. And I remember this was the first time that I prayed since I was a child, but I prayed and I said, God, you have to get me out of this situation. I was like, listen, if you love me, you would help me get out of here. And I remember saying to him, like, I will serve you. Like, I will do whatever it takes. Whatever you want me to do, I will do because I can't be here anymore. And I literally do not see a way out. It was terrifying for me. It was painful for me. And I literally felt stuck. So that was like really scary for me. And then I remember even at the time, like, because when you're in an abusive relationship, whether it's physical or emotional or whatever type of abuse it is, it distances you from your family. It separates you from people that would help you to get out of that type of situation. And even so, me and my mom weren't always on good terms. And I remember one day she called me, and like, she doesn't really call me like that, but I remember one day she did call me, and I ended up telling her, like, I didn't hide anything. I just told her what was happening. I said, everything. And then she was like, she helped me a lot. And I know that that was God because, like I said, me and my mom weren't really on good terms at the time. And my mom is not really that type of person that, like, is emotionally supportive or, like, and stuff like that. But I do remember that she called me and she helped me a lot. Like, she was like, "Hey, when you finish your ex your no, when you finish school, you can move down to Florida. That's where your grandma lives, and you can move down to Florida with her." I spoke to her already. Oh no, she didn't speak to her already, but I remember, like, she spoke to her after that conversation that we had. And she bought me a car and everything. And yo, the Lord's favor was on me at that time. I will tell you guys because I emailed my old teacher, my old medical assistant teacher, because this was when I was in the program that I had to um stay on campus. And I remember I emailed her, and I don't even think that I asked. Long story short, God worked it out so that I was able to finish my externship in Florida. Like, she worked at a medical office in Florida, which was literally like maybe like a 15-minute ride, a 15-minute drive from my grandma's house. So it worked out, like, praise the Lord, yo, cuz God is so good. God is so good. And I remember he delivered me. He delivered me from a situation that I literally saw no way out of. And this was before I was even serving him, before I even loved him like I do now. But it just shows the grace. It just shows the mercy, the favor. It just shows the love of God, because I wasn't even serving you. I wasn't even praising you. I didn't even look to you. I was actually doing quite the opposite of living a life that you would think that Christians are supposed to live all the time. And I was doing the exact opposite. But God, He heard my cry, and He came through in ways that I could have never imagined. This was before I even loved Him. So that's my testimony. At least one of them. You guys, there's so many things that God delivered and healed me from. but that was the first one. That was the one that he came through where I didn't even know him. I didn't even love him. Like I said, I grew up in church, but it wasn't something like I had a very close relationship with the Lord. It wasn't something like, I got baptized at the age of 3 or 7 or whatever. No, this was just like I know that we go to this place and these people are happy and we go to these events and by vacation Bible school and like these people are really nice and like they praise the Lord, cool. And so that's all I knew, but I thank God. I thank God and I really just hope and pray that this encourages somebody that might be in the same situation or that previously got out of that situation because I have more testimonies, you guys, but even God healed me from the pain and the trauma that I went through as a result of that relationship. And I'll be talking about that later, but that's all I wanted to say, that I really hope that this encourages somebody and helps you to see the glory and the goodness and the patience and the mercy and the love of God. He's so good, you guys. And so if you are in a situation that seems like there's no way out, if you are in a situation that is scary and lonely, and it seems like there's literally no way out and it seems impossible, you can literally call on the name of the Lord. You can literally talk to Jesus. You can pray and he will come through no matter how far gone you think that you are, no matter how like opposite you think you are of him. He will answer you and he will hear your cry and he will save you because he loves his children. But I'm grateful that he saved me. I'm grateful that he delivered me. And I'm just going to pray for anybody that might be in this situation or even are dealing with the after effects of this type of situation. So, Father God, I thank you for each and every person that was able to watch this testimony. I thank you for even giving me the strength to speak on what you have done in my life. I thank you for delivering me, for healing me, and I thank you for everybody that you are going to heal and that you are healing who are in similar situations or have got out of the situation and are still dealing with the after effects. God, I just thank you that you are the sovereign Lord. I thank you that you are the God who delivers, who heals, that you are the God who loves and loves in ways that we can't understand. So I just thank you for that. And I just want to pray over each and every person that is watching that you whatever type of situation is, wherever they are, that you would show them who you are, that you would that you would manifest yourself in ways that people would know that it is you, that when they look back on the situation, that they would say, that was only God that saved me from that situation. That was only God that delivered me from that pain. That was only God who healed me. And I'm smiling today. And that was only God. And even people who have been in this situation, Lord, that just kind of forget the goodness and stuff that you do. I pray that this would be a reminder of your goodness and how faithful you are and how loving you are. And I pray that you would heal every mind, every heart, every soul that is listening. I pray that you would deliver them from any situation that they feel is desolate or any situation that they feel is impossible to get out of. Show up, God. Show up, God, as the God who can make the impossible possible. Show up as the God who can show everybody what real love is, who is real love. So I just thank you. And that's what I pray. Help everybody that does watch this to have a beautiful day and continue to order our steps and draw us nearer to you. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for listening. I will be sharing more testimonies as God has been so good. But thank you for listening. Peace.